Do you ever change between thinking that alcohol is ruining your life and then not caring at all? Well, I was there many, many times, and today I get to tell you what's on the other side of that story. I have not consumed alcohol or coffee for the last 8 months, and this is what's been going on with my life. I've seen really interesting changes, but before we get to that, I do want to tell you a little bit of my story. That way I can give you some context so you understand why it was so hard to quit these things, and I'm sure you're going to be able to relate. So let's get started with that. I come from Venezuela, where alcohol consumption starts very early. My first drink was probably around 12 or 13, but I didn't begin to drink regularly until age 16 or 17. And if you know Venezuelans, you would know that alcohol was very much in the center of my life all the time. It was very common to see people around me drunk or offering drinks or wanting to drink. Every celebration involved alcohol every single weekend or even sometimes on weekdays. So at age 17, it felt very normal to adopt alcohol into my life. And yeah, in the beginning, when you're young, alcohol feels amazing. Maybe you don't have hangovers. I didn't have many hangovers before age 25, I would say. And being drunk and making a show sometimes was part of being young, so it wasn't a big deal. But later on, when my life began to be more serious, I started to have a lot of problems. I had very bad experiences because of alcohol. I had terrible fights with family, friends, partners. It was messy. And yeah, sometimes I contemplated alcohol being bad for me and thinking that I shouldn't drink anymore. But again, being surrounded by Venezuelans and living in Miami where everything's a party, it was so hard not to drink. And there was also a personal component to this whole thing. Imagine a kid that starts socializing with alcohol. I didn't know how to be social or how to be me without alcohol. I was scared to see myself sober in social situations or in situations where I knew alcohol made things easier for me. But needless to say that towards the end, I had more bad experiences than good experiences with alcohol. In regards to my relationship with coffee, I was having like 3 to 4 coffees a day. Maybe that's not too much for you, but it was too much for me. And sometimes I would have like 1 coffee and then a bang or an energy drink in the afternoon. And these energy drinks are packed with caffeine and sugar. They feel like you're on drugs, honestly. But yeah, I felt like I couldn't go a day without drinking coffee. Only on the days when I was super hangover and I couldn't deal with my life and I was just sleeping all day, I would go without coffee. But every working day was a heavy caffeinated day for me. My drinking consumption decreased significantly when I started traveling with my partner. The alcohol access was less in some countries. Besides, we were always busy moving around, working, and enjoying every new place. So alcohol began to naturally fade away, and I was actually very happy with it. I was starting to get a taste of what it's like to wake up sober on a Saturday and have the energy to do something exciting. And then in July 2022, I got pregnant. So I pretty much didn't have a choice. And I know that there are some mamas that feel okay having a glass of wine or something like that here and there. I went absolutely cold turkey with alcohol and coffee. I was like, no more, since the day I saw that result. And I do have to admit that my caffeine consumption is not absolutely zero. I do drink teas, so I may have a matcha or I may have a green tea, but I do not go over 40 milligrams of caffeine in a day. And many days I would skip my caffeine and I'm okay. The first couple of months were bad. I was sad, I was angry, I was feeling out of place, I felt alienated, and I wasn't having fun. I was not able to drink on my wedding day, which was a really big deal for me as a Venezuelan. Like, can you imagine a Venezuelan not drinking on their wedding day? No. So that was really unfortunate for me, and I complained about it for months. I did not want to attend to any social events that were like at night and mostly around alcohol. And when I was around people that were intoxicated, I would get in a really bad mood and I would want to leave the place. Imagine that on your wedding day. And about coffee, I missed it, but it was way easier to handle because there's decaf. And yes, I had some withdrawals, but I got over it fairly quickly. Now, the struggle was not feeling productive. And that's something that was very bad when I was going through the withdrawals. But once that phase was gone, I was feeling perfectly fine. The whole coffee thing was silly. I think that everyone can survive without caffeine. It's totally doable and it's way better for your system. So fast forward 6 months later, things begin to get better. I begin to be more okay emotionally and physically and everything with not drinking coffee and not consuming alcohol. And that's when I realized I was living a lie the whole time. It's not true that I can't be social without alcohol. Again, after 6 months of being in these type of situations, I began to notice that people enjoyed me as much as they enjoyed me before, if not more, because now I was never obnoxious. And yes, there is something that bothers me, and that is when other people are drunk and I'm just there having to listen to their stories and be like, okay, but I guess it's karma, right? A lot of people did that for me when I was drunk on the weekends and I wanted to talk and I wanted to be fun and dance, and maybe sometimes they weren't at the same level as me and had to be like, okay, Daniela. So yeah, now I have to do it for them and it's not super fun, but I also remember that tomorrow I'm going to feel better than them, and that gives me strength. Socializing without caffeine was also a little hard for me because, again, sometimes I would be out drinking or out being social and would feel tired and would not be in the mood, and I would just self-medicate with coffee so I could keep up. But honestly, now I get to say, hey, I'm tired, I'm going to go home, and I take care of myself. That is huge. That's personal development, and I love that I'm able to tap into myself, how I'm feeling, and be like, oh, we'll continue this another day. That's completely acceptable, and I love to do it. And talking about personal development, a great thing that has happened is getting to know myself and unraveling my shadow. You guys know that I do shadow work as a therapist, and I love to make videos about shadow work. And I truly believe that you are going to be able to do deep shadow work when you are sober. Think about it. Alcohol and coffee are like the shadow's best friend, because what they do is that they numb you out and they make you be on the go without feeling, without being present, without being mindful. And then your shadow can take over, and that's it. There's no self-discovery. There's no time to tune into yourself and do what you really need and honor your true self. Because something else, a substance, it's doing mechanical work for you. That's not being you. That's not being integrated with who you are. Let me give you an example. I am 99.99% sure that you have woken up on a hangover day thinking, what the hell did I do last night? And I don't know if you've heard this saying. We say it a lot in Venezuela, but we say that drunk people say the truth, which for me, thinking that was really conflicting, because then I thought, am I the drunk? Is the drunk me the real me? That's so embarrassing. And then with coffee, it felt like, is the uncaffeinated me a loser? That's embarrassing. Well, after 8 months of not drinking alcohol, I have been able to confront the uncaffeinated me and the sober me, and I've been able to get to know that person. I have been able to connect with the real me, the shadow parts of me, and know that I can accept them and I can honor them, and nothing bad is going to happen. Another positive thing that has happened in this past 8 months is better skin and hair and body. I have not had a pimple in the last 8 months, I swear. My skin is much clearer, it feels much better, softer, and I don't feel like intoxicated. I know this sounds weird, but I'm very in tune with my body, and before I felt like there was like intoxication inside of me, and now I just feel so like raw and natural and good. It's amazing. Other physical related things include my digestion. I used to struggle with a lot of constipation and gas and stomach stuff, and now that is really rare. My immune system has been optimal too. Even in pregnancy, I've gotten sick just once, and that's been a big change for me. I used to be sick very frequently before. And then the other great part is that my body feels more consistent with the circadian rhythm. I now sleep at the same time, wake up at the same time. I have not used a sleeping pill in the last 8 months, and that's a big deal for me. I would drink caffeine so late in the day that I would have to then like pop some sleeping pills so I could actually fall asleep. Which brings me to my next benefit. So I know a lot of people say that alcohol helps them sleep. And it's kind of true that your system goes into a mini coma after you have drank so much and then you just like blam, knock out. But there is the detox process that happens in the middle of the night that it used to wake me up all the time, and I hated it. I would wake up in the middle of the night sweaty, thirsty, needing to pee, needing to eat, and having all of these bizarre needs that were interrupting my sleep. And that connects to the next benefit that it's very obvious, but not having hangovers is the best of the best of the best. It's actually better than drinking alcohol. And maybe right now you don't understand that concept and it doesn't feel like it could be true, but I swear on everyone alive that waking up feeling good and being able to enjoy your Saturday is 10 times better than having a drunk night. Honestly, there were so many times that I couldn't even remember the night the next day. So how can I know it was a great night? Like, I don't remember it. But waking up sober allows you to be present, to build memories, to do things you like, to engage in hobbies, to feel good, to do more, and it's great. Another benefit is more money. So if you live in Europe or Asia, you're probably very lucky with your €2 beers. But in Miami, a beer is like $7 or $8. So every time I went out, I was usually having a cocktail and I would spend at least $100. I swear I had a budget for alcohol and that was $150 to $200 per week. Not drinking could honestly save you a large amount of money. And lastly, and something else that I love is more time. At least in Miami, my drinking days would start around 5 or 6 p.m. depending on when I stopped working on Friday. So starting from 6 p.m. to like 3 a.m. in the morning, that's 9 hours of drinking alcohol. And then going to bed at 3 in the morning, waking up around noontime, eating something, and many times going back to sleep because I'm so tired, eating something again and watching Netflix all afternoon because I was so hangover I couldn't do much with my life. That is over 24 hours of time lost, right? I know that there are some superhumans out there that the next day they still wake up and they go on a bike ride and they go hike a mountain, but that's not me and that's not a lot of the people that I know. I think that's the exception to the rule, and good for you if you can do that. I think at one point you're not going to be able to do it anymore. And don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you don't go out and don't, stay up until 3 in the morning. You can do that sometimes if you want to, but it can't be every weekend. It can't be every Saturday of your life that you are wasting and not doing things that are good for you or that you want to do. The older I got, the more time I needed to recover, and sometimes it will take me Saturday and Sunday to recover, and then by Monday I would be okay. That's pretty sad. How can you prioritize something so much that you need 2 days to recover from? Bizarre. I don't plan on drinking coffee and being super caffeinated ever again. I don't need it in my life. I don't need the anxiety and the hyper alertness and the jitteriness all day. And I definitely don't need to get intoxicated every weekend. I'm pretty confident that I don't want to use alcohol with means of being drunk or of having fun or being able to socialize. Right now, I feel like if I don't drink ever again, I'll be totally okay. And to end this video, I want to say that if you are contemplating not drinking, do it. It's going to be so great. As I said earlier, it's going to be scary and annoying in the beginning, but once you have passed the 6-month mark, your life is going to change completely and you're not going to need it at all. So I wish you the best in your journey, and I'll see you soon in another video.